have a second?
Second.
Second by Judy. Any discussion? See none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Next, number 3, County Board of Education regarding possible federal funding cuts if needed.
Yeah.
Gina, anybody got anything?
I mean, they have released kind of the final rule template to, identify like food share work requirements and also Medicaid work requirements that'll go into effect at the end of the year, January 1. Basically people, in certain categories will have to prove that they're working 80 hours a week. And to be Medicaid eligible or Medicaid plus eligible and or be eligible for food share benefits. But there are exemptions to those criteria for some folks, so we are working through that, kind of waiting for more information to be released from DHS.
Just to follow up to that, Mr. Chair, the SNAP benefits are related to, what do they call it, an error rate?
Yes.
And it has to be 6% or under. Wisconsin is one of only, I think, 8 states in the country that are consistently under that 6% margin. We did receive some information last month at one of our meetings that it's currently a little higher, but it's the beginning of the year that average tends to go down by the end of the year. And so the state of Wisconsin is still expecting our error rate to be under 6%, which will save the state $250 million. So that's big.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Number 4, discuss and or approve meeting with local legislators. There's really not a lot here. I did talk to Tony Kurtz on another matter and I told him what our thoughts were, and he's more than willing to come and meet with us.
I was hoping that we could start the meeting over. You guys were muted at the beginning of this. So everyone on the Zoom meeting couldn't hear you guys at the start.
I'm not starting the meeting over, I'm gonna keep rolling. And, no, we are fine. We're fine, right, for First Council? Yes. Okay. And can people just talk in on Zoom now, or what? Because this is a meeting held in public, not a public meeting. Okay. So when we find out more in the budget, kind of like, then maybe we have more of a discussion on when we're gonna bring some of our legislators in and actually explain to them what's going on in Juneau County.
Can we get an agreement?
That's what we want to try to do.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So that's all I really have. Anybody else have anything on that? Okay.
Quick question for Sarah. Legislators are out of session right now. When do they go back in session?
So Chair, you okay, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they'll go back into session in January, early January.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 5, discuss and or approve of committee updates and reports. And what this is we've had this talk, and we've had it with Sarah within our board rules. What's everyone's feelings, since we've had some time to digest this, about trying to attempt to do some committee reports that would not be on the agenda. But as Sarah has told us also that we cannot reply to it, so we don't have an open meetings law violation. So what I'm saying is like, for example, Herb's looking confused here, IT. IT has something you're working on that's not on the agenda. You give an update to the rest of the board at the regular meeting, so that the board can find out about it and also, public can also find out about it. So that's my thought process is, but we have some issues with, we cannot let people respond, so if Herb gave the report, we can't let questions, I would have to control that, not have any questions. Is that correct, Sarah?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So what's your thoughts, or do we just let this set for a while yet, see, or think about it? I would like to do it because there's times that committees are working on stuff, and I would like to have some way of finding out the information, and then we have the open meetings laws we have to make sure we comply with also, so that's what we're up against. Thoughts?
Do you think, like a one-page, bullet points from each would suffice, something in writing, or you'd like to hear something from each of the committees, like 5 sponsors?
Well, my thought process is so that when they would give it during the county board meetings, the public can actually hear what we're doing.
Well, can I Well, she said, if you could have a committee that wants to see something, and they know about it 2 or 3 days before the board meeting, they could send a text or a message, and then add it to the agenda. And then that would solve that open meetings issue, would it not? It's on the agenda.
Well, I think the problem is, number one, if there's questions asked or whatever, you go into something else, that's an open meeting violation. And you don't want whoever the department head or the committee chair to be up there talking about stuff that isn't on the agenda.
On the agenda, right.
You're right, I think there's just maybe a danger of going into stuff that isn't noticed.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a situation where there was a specific issue that a committee wanted to report on, if you could put that topic on the agenda, and the committee chair could talk about it. But again, you just have to make sure that you don't discuss beyond that topic that was listed on the agenda.
And I think we're already doing that.
Well,
So could it be general, like, a standing item on the agenda that says possible committee reports? And then there might be 2 or 5 department heads that stand up and share something with you.
no, because we have to, public has to have a warning ahead of time.
What
to
it
know
is.
A topic, a specific
Yeah.
topic.
So the only way I think we could do this is if we had a committee that really wanted to do a report on something, they could, you could put on the agenda and label it as such. Okay.
I think my thoughts, as Chair, is that since this is a new process and the committees are just getting their bearings on being connected and such stuff, put it, I won't say off a bit, but give it some time for the committees to gel a little more.
That's what I was asking.
That's a good idea.
I think it's something we need to keep talking about, and I'd like to get to that point, but we need to make sure that we're all, especially, we need these board rules done and get some explanation on some of that, so that everybody understands what we're doing, so. Okay, let's move on. Next is number 6, discuss and or approve change in November county board meeting. Terry, any reason for this?
Yep, so we've done, you that have been on the board a while, we've done this before in November, because the budget, to move it up, and because there's certain reports that have to be made to state on a certain date. But Tuesday, what we normally do it on, is election day, which is, does not work for Andy and I and a couple other people. So, we're looking at Monday, if that.
November 2nd?
Monday the 2nd?
Yeah, and then that would make exact, unless some changes on the 26th of October. Kind of like we, I mean, you guys know how we do
I
it
don't
every
have
year.
any issues with that.
You may have an issue?
And there's a holiday in there which even gives them another extra, less day to get the reports in.
Yeah.
So they all come after the budget's in.
Are we scheduling,
Yeah,
are we scheduling executive and?
I mean, it don't have to be done today, but if you guys are all okay with that, you know, ask somebody else before we make that, we can do it next month, however you wanna do it, but
It's a good heads up.
it's typically something you do every year.
It's something that we can always change, but I'd like to actually get it on the calendar. I have a motion to adopt, November 2nd as our board meeting. in November.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
We have a second? Second by Tom. Okay, any other more discussion? See none, all
Normal
those.
time, 9:30.
Yeah.
You'll have the public hearing at 9, if that's what you guys would budget.
That's correct, okay, 56. 9:34.
Any more discussion? See none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Number 7, Peggy, update the corporate council.
Good. So the chair's gonna ask me to just give an update of what I've been working on lately, what I have, what kind of irons I have in the fire right now. So VHS takes up quite a bit of my time as it is the biggest department, and we've got a lot of court hearings and things going on. I can kind of just touch on the highlights, of that over the last month. We've gotten 5 pits to permanency, 3 termination of fire rights and 2 guardianships. There's other chips matters going on too. I did total out my hours for that as I have to track for funding purposes. I had 20 hours in that. Also been doing my regular child support appearances. We've had 4 guardianships and protective placements in court plus the regular reviews that we have to do annually. I've had a couple of mental commitments, and then I also revised the record request policy to be consistent with the federal law that came out regarding substance abuse. records, they are treated differently than other records. So I updated that policy to be in compliance. For the public, what's the sheriff's department committee again?
Public safety.
Public safety, thank you. Public safety, which also encompasses the medical examiner, I proposed a vehicle use policy for the medical examiner that's still being reviewed. I think we're gonna look at that upcoming year. And also redoing the animal ordinances chapter, been working on that too, and hopefully that will be getting soon as well. And we can go to Polk County Board. Also for the sheriff's department, I'm working on some contracts with shelters and veterinarians, to work on rates and stuff for when animals are taken into care for criminal investigation purposes, just to limit our financial liability for those. We've had some significant cases as of late. This month I was in court a couple of different times for one of the cases, and including like briefing and things to the court. So, that's a significant issue I think that we need to work on, and I'm working on getting those contracts done. Also, I found out yesterday that we have a case, related to a situation in the jail when, someone didn't want medical treatment and, the former corporation counsel went into the criminal case and asked that that be ordered, which it did. So now it's in the Supreme Court, and so I'm gonna be working on a letter brief for that. I'm working on a couple issues for housing authority right now, helping highway, with the possible sale of the collection site. And then just kind of everyday kind of issues, reviewing contracts, things like that, that also take up a significant amount of time, but, we're getting it done, so,
So you're busy.
yep.
I think the intent of this was, is more or less is in the future, we do this just to give us a rough update of, like our stuff that we pass at the county board, things like that, our get to the system so that it's, you know, codified or whatever, and have it so that
Sounds good.
we're updated, so, good deal. Did anybody have questions? Good deal, thank you, Peggy.
Yep.
Number 8, discussion and/or possible motion on the county's options for regulation of data centers. So how this came about, I see we have a lot of attendance to this. How this came about was, is I had, one of our board members, Judy, that wanted to put this on the agenda. And I, right now, have no idea if we have anybody that's even looking to put a data center in. And so I know nothing on that right, as of right now. So what I did is I asked our corporation counsel to do a little bit of looking into this, and she did. And she has some information she would like to share with us.
Sure,
And then we'll
so-
start discussion.
Sure. So I reached out to other counties. Also, this is a real hot topic with the Wisconsin Counties Association, as Sarah probably knows. But multiple counties are in the process of enacting moratoriums, which are essentially enacted for a limited period of time, generally like 6 months to 18 months, just to halt things and just to give time to research and investigate different issues that would impact the citizens of Juneau County, or of their county, I should say, and the residents. But these moratoriums only apply into unzoned areas, so areas in cities, villages, and towns that have their own zoning ordinances, it wouldn't apply there. So that's what other counties are doing. But Juneau County is in a unique situation. We're one of 14 Wisconsin counties that actually doesn't regulate, like general land use zoning. We're pretty limited to, like sanitation, shoreland and floodplain kind of zoning. So, there are other counties, like I said, 13 other counties. Brown County just went in, one board member proposed a moratorium there, and, they shot it down because a moratorium wouldn't make any difference. We don't have, Brown County, like us, wouldn't have any jurisdiction over any zoning things. So I don't think a moratorium is, I don't think it's applicable to us as an option. So I think mostly this is gonna fall on the towns and the cities. I think our hands are kinda tied at this point.
And and the reason I asked for some clarification on this was because we need to know, because we don't have zoning. And so that's why I asked Peggy to do some clarification, and Judy, you're the one that brought this up.
I am. And I brought it up for the very reasons, because there's a lot of, it's not just conversations around the state of Wisconsin, this is a national conversation. And it starts up here and comes down here, but when the rubber meets the road, it's here. And so I have had people reach out to me in a number of ways, is the county doing anything? And the only thing that I can say is I would get it on an agenda for a discussion. And that's exactly what we have here, or at least the beginning of the discussion. And I learned something right away, that we may not have the option of even doing a moratorium. And for me, I wanted to know the parameters of what the county can do, as well as what the county cannot do. And my guess is that the list of the cannots is a lot longer than the could. But I've done some background and just some general information that I do want to share, because we have people who are interested in this topic. Wisconsin currently has, and it's a range, so this is gonna sound funny, 21 to 53 data centers. Now, my guess is that the 21 are data centers that are operational, and that margin are data centers that are somewhere in a pipeline. Some part of the plan, like just at the beginning, and maybe an architectural study or a feasibility study, and then some are being built. Most of the data centers in Wisconsin are in that southeast corridor that curve along the Michigan lakefront. Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, the Burbs, Dane County has some, I don't know how many, a few, 10, 8, 10. And then they are scattered around the state. The closest one to us is Wisconsin Rapids. And as the chair said, I am unaware that any developer or anybody has expressed any interest in this county whatsoever, but I would much rather be proactive than reactive. And so, to the extent that we can plan, and that we have some options to plan, I would like to know what those are. And I would like to take just a minute to share some kind of just general data points that are global and not related to Wisconsin in particular. And just, I wanna also draw a little line. My daughter happens to live in Virginia. There are, right now, potentially 53 data centers in Wisconsin. There's over 600 in Virginia. So, depending on where you live, this is a huge scale-up event. And there are 5 general categories that people seem to be most concerned about. The first one is electrical use and utility increases. I put a slash between them. Water use, that's a big one. Job creation, citizen resistance, and other considerations. Now, in these data centers, electrical use is currently 4.4% of the entire grid, but it's predicted to be approximately 12% by 2028. Now, because citizens are resisting so hard, we may not get there, because it will slow those projects down. Residential power, the cost of residential power has increased 32% since 2020. Though not directly attributed to the data centers, they can't draw a direct correlation between the two. 77% of U.S. citizens and residents are concerned that data centers will cause electricity rates to increase, and I can understand what people would use. Water use. Data centers are currently using approximately 17 billion gallons of water for cooling. That statistic is from 25, so that's up to date. Consumption is expected to double or even quadruple by 2028, consumption of water. 17.4 billion gallons of water was used in 2025, equal to 160,000 households for ordinary use in 1 year. Berkeley Labs estimates that data centers consumed an additional 211 billion gallons indirectly through power companies that generated the center's electrical power, which equals 12 times the cooling power figure that data centers themselves published. 517 facilities are currently slated for areas that are experiencing drought conditions. That's not. And we've been hearing some of those news. Google's data center in Council Bluffs, Iowa, consumed about 1 billion gallons of water in 2024, and residents in the area experienced decrease in their water pressure, pure water from their faucets, etc. Data centers use a fraction of the water that is utilized by agriculture. Google has an air-cooled facility in Texas that used only 10,000 gallons of water in 1 year, about what one household uses in 2 months. Newer facilities use a closed-loop system that recycles water over and over again, and it doesn't get pumped back down into the ground, reducing the amount used to whatever is necessary to fill the loop. Now that loop can still contain tens of thousands of gallons. It consumes relatively little amount of additional water over time, however. Job creation, the construction phase is 1,000 to 6,400 workers, but it only lasts about a year. Thereafter, the vendor would supply people who periodically check on them and make sure the maintenance is okay. There may be 1 or 2 people or a group of people that would be located to check on it on a shift basis. I don't know the answer to that, and I haven't seen any further data. Some states have almost no regulation on permitting. Citizen resistance, right now 57% of citizens oppose these centers, and 14% seem to be okay with them. The other considerations, every data center consumes water to a minimal effect, but that effect is cumulative. So when you look up on your computer and you hit ChatGPT or you hit Meta AI, you're consuming someone else's water.
Can you define the word consume?
Well-
That implies to me that it's gone. That's not true.
It's not. And we have to look at this as over time. Now, let me also finish my thoughts and I'll get back to that. But the noise is a factor, and there is heat off-casting from these data centers, a lot of heat. And so, to finish my thoughts on this, I learned just last night that there are really 2 different kinds of data centers. One does nothing but cryptocurrency processing, and the other is artificial intelligence processing. The centers that do the cryptocurrency processing are the ones that cause noise, because the processor type itself is different than the processor for AI. One is called an ASIC, or
So Judy, can we get this back to the spot where we're gonna make a decision if we're going to
I don't think.
put this in a committee or not?
I'm not
I mean, we
sure.
have all this information, which is great, but I mean, we have to make a decision if we're gonna go further with this with another committee.
Well, can I
That's what
answer
our-
Herb's question before
Yeah,
we move
go
on?
ahead.
Well, please repeat your question.
Well, define the word consumption, because it implies to me when you say consume, that means it's gone, and that's not how it works.
It's dependent. Now, some of these early iterations of these centers, of these data centers, used continuous water and then pumped their used water back into the ground, so they were continually pumping out.
Sure.
And then it was gone.
Okay.
Now, these later iterations seem to have this more closed loop system, where once they are, where that loop is filled, then that is repeatedly utilized and not consumed necessarily.
So you're saying that they put the water back in the ground?
Some of
groundwater
the
table?
earlier ones did, and they have metals in them,
Yeah.
and they were.
They have heat in it, it has heat, and that's, okay. So that's, no one's consuming water and making it disappear. It's, there's just a different way they handle the water and the heat.
Those earlier ones also didn't filter the water they put back in the ground, so there were heavy metals going into drinking water, blah, blah, blah. So there's considerations. And so,
Okay. So I guess the question really is for us today is are we going to proceed further and take this to another committee and have them look into it more? Or are we gonna stay where we're at with this right now? Because what you've told us so far is we have no zoning,
Right.
So we would have to incur the cost of zoning and everything, do that, and then it would have no teeth. Because some townships have zoning, some townships don't have zoning, so that would be a cost for us. And the other part of my concern is that, all right, we have a group that want them, we have a group that don't want them. I mean, so it's roughly, what'd you say, 57 to 43?
Yeah.
And it depends on the education, where we're at, so we're gonna be divided no matter what we do, no matter what we do on this. So our question is this what we wanna to do right now? We have nothing coming at us. I mean, I have nobody that's brought forward that they wanna build a data center in Juneau County. And a moratorium doesn't really count, so what can we really do? That's my question.
Can you define, we don't have zoning, and why we cannot have a moratorium?
Sure, so we don't regulate general land use. Like our zoning department has jurisdiction over pretty much three things, like the shoreline zoning, sanitation, and floodplain.
Okay, so the countywide sanitation is zoned.
Right,
Okay,
yep,
so we do have zoning in the county.
right, but like a moratorium that is, well, first of all, development moratoriums aren't allowed, but we do have authority over some zoning. Yeah, but that's more like a general land use kind of thing, it's not zoning or shoreland or anything like that, or, sorry, sanitation or shoreland.
So what would it take, like, you're worried about resources that the county would have to expend on that. What would it take to make Juneau County have zoning applying to data centers? Is that a big, super,
Yes.
can you explain a little bit of that, why is it so?
It's a whole process, it's not even just getting the county board's approval, you also have to get the towns and the villages to be subject to our zoning as well. It's not going to be an easy process, it's gonna be a costly process, and a long process.
So if a township says no, then you can't do it at all?
Right.
Or are they excluded from the zoning?
They have to approve us, they all have to approve us.
So did they do that with septic systems?
I don't know that.
I'm just trying to figure out what it takes to give Juneau County the zoning ability. It sounds like it's not doable, is that true, or?
I mean, it's doable, but it would be a long process and a costly one, and also not guaranteed.
I have a follow-up on the land use. The state of Wisconsin passed a law, and I'm gonna say around 2000, giving counties, every county in this state, 10 years to put together a land use plan. And we're supposed to have, and it was supposed to lay out, future planning for expansion of residential areas, apartments, places to build or expand factories and businesses. Did we just violate the law and never submit one?
A lot of your townships did that.
They had to,
They
it's a,
did,
it's a law.
they did
And
it.
every county was supposed to do that too, and that was the same question I asked regarding another situation. And I got, well, the township said we could do it. That was my response. But somewhere on somebody's shelf in this county, there should be a land use plan. And these had to be registered with the state of Wisconsin within that 10-year time.
I don't know the answer to that.
I wrote my master's thesis on it.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
It was a big snore, let me tell you that.
Something impact parks and forestry.
I would think zoning would have it.
Well, I'm thinking we have to.
You would ask David Bruin, I mean, you should know, yeah, I feel like we have something.
I feel we have weeks like we just. Not
So
saying they're
there
right,
should be
but
a
I'm
land
saying-
use plan. And yes, every township in the county also had to submit a land use. plan.
Not everyone did.
Is that different than a comprehensive?
It is different than a comprehensive. It was called a comprehensive land use plan.
And roughly how many townships have you,
How many have the zoning?
yeah,
Boston, Elroy, New Lisbon, Necedah, Camp Douglas, Hustler, Station, Union Center, Montauk, Germantown, Linden, Lisbon, Medina, and Linden.
Is it feasible, to reach out to some of our representative townships, because I represent a township that is now zoned, Is it feasible that as a representative of that township to the board, can I reach out to them and say, if you wanna protect yourself from this, maybe you better,
You can do that as a citizen, but not as a representative of the board,
okay,
because I mean, they can be speaking for all 21.
I gotcha.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm probably talking, but I'm just saying, I don't
Yeah,
want.
I understand what you're saying, that makes sense.
And I think WCA is also talking with like the Towns Association and things like that.
Well, and
So it's not just off their radar.
municipalities are all in there, yeah.
And they're talking, whether they might have some till August, September for some recommendations, so I think we need to actually kind of separate before we try to
We had
rephrase.
we had a meeting yesterday on Zoom. I think, Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think WCA is a little hesitant to come.
She doesn't want to.
This is not my area of expertise,
Okay,
so
well, I can say what I
I've
am.
heard plenty of conversations, but it's not my place
Yep.
to talk about this,
Right.
and I certainly wasn't
Yeah.
prepared to.
Well, I think from what was said yesterday is WCA is a little hesitant to, do like a template moratorium, which wouldn't apply to us anyways. Just given that some counties have done stuff already, some have done moratoriums, some have done ordinances. So they're hesitant to come in and say, this is the way you should do it, if other counties have done it different ways. And also, every county is different, every zoning thing is different, you don't wanna come up with some advice and then people point fingers at somebody who did it a different way. So, I don't know if they're going to be coming out with a template. As I said, I don't think it really matters for us.
I personally, I'm gonna say dead honest, I'm gonna say I personally, on the data side, one way or the other, you could argue it all day long. I personally do not want to lose focus on this board right now in spending a lot of money legally that could potentially come out of levy, because that's where it would come from. Well, we're trying to, one, balance the budget here soon, and number two is, we have roads that need to be fixed in this county, and they're horrible, and we are fighting right now. I was on the phone with the county, highway commissioner this morning about it, trying to figure out how we can actually get some more work done. And try how to lobby for more money to do that. And I do not want to lose focus of that right now and spend a pile of money in some zoning and have a conflict with our townships and our residents and lose focus of trying to get one of our goals that we need to do is fix the roads in our county. That's really where I'm at. And I'm gonna be dead honest with that right now. I really can't support going the legal process right now. I really can't.
I disagree with that.
It's fine.
I think the option of a moratorium, and I'm not sure how involved that would be, how much legal time it would take to create a moratorium. A year moratorium would help a lot of people get further data, would help us resolve the issue state or county-wide zoning if needed. To get in touch with the townships and towns to see what they're thinking about data centers specifically. Now, I don't know if getting a moratorium is the same thing as countywide zoning. Can't the county say, we're gonna put this on hold for a year until we get our act together?
The moratoriums would have to come from the zoned towns and cities. The county can't do a moratorium, we don't have jurisdiction over that. We don't have the authority. Because we don't have the general.
We don't have general plan?
It's not that it wouldn't have teams.
Because we don't do the general zoning, we don't regulate that, like I said, we just have the three kind of, shoreland and sanitation kind of things, and floodplain.
But we do zone for certain things.
But we don't
We
have
do
the
have-
general land use
Yeah.
zoning, we don't have jurisdiction over that.
And if you develop a moratorium, then you have to study it, correct?
Great,
That's what I was reading on that, so then we have to have an actual study done, and that's gonna cost money, because it's not just, we're gonna study it, we're gonna bring in outside sources to do the study.
Got it.
And then we have to go through the study, and then I would imagine if we're gonna pay for this, then you have to follow a recommendation. And they could say, well, then maybe we need to go do zoning, so now we're gonna stick more money and keep going down this rabbit hole. And I can't look at all the taxpayers in their faces right now with the roads where we're at. I mean, we have to get some things accomplished. That's my opinion, and that's.
And you need to also consider that the towns have their own zoning thing, so even if we were able to do a moratorium, or even if we did our, like, the zoning stuff, they still have authority over their zoning. So a data center could come in to one of those zoned areas. We're not even getting rid of the problem with the
Are townships allowed to do a moratorium?
I believe so.
Are they?
Judy, did you run across any data points on average size? Like I've heard that the centers can be literally a mile
They can
long.
do this.
Like how much acreage that
No.
one might
I mean, there's one that has really hit the skids in a drought-stricken area, I wanna say Utah. That is, I can't even find the scale, but it's just giant. And it's in a desert where there's no water to be found anyway. And so, yeah. But I know that we are not supposed to advise township.
If I could, Judy, for a minute, with the information you've got and shared, definitely sounds like some concerns, by far.
And they're not my concerns.
No,
I just
just in
wanted to
general.
bring this forward for this conversation.
Yes, just in general, some
Yeah.
very serious concerns.
Yes.
In that information, from what I gathered, and correct me anywhere what I've been sitting here listening,
Sure.
that's just the way I am. Most of these are centered towards high populous areas, I take it?
Well, my concern for the future is, if you look at where water is in this country, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Northern Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. You're gonna come for the lakefronts and for the rivers and streams and the big, and the small lakes. There's lots of water and groundwater. And so, to me, they have taken the low-lying fruit first, which is typical. But then, when they're going to hit these pushback areas, moratorium areas, areas of a lot of citizen resistance, then they're gonna look at small communities where we're disorganized, where we don't have ordinances that cover, where we don't have zoning, where we don't have resources to do the zoning. And then they're gonna come in and just say, I'm buying this from this guy out here, and this from this woman over here, and this guy over here, and I'm putting them wherever I feel like it, and I don't care if it's in your backyard. And you get to listen to 70 to 80 decibels humming away in your backyard in perpetuity.
And to your point, what's between that and solar project that's
None.
gonna happen?
Because
Because
it's
that
private
burns,
land.
that burns me up, I mean, I know that
It's
they're right to
private
do what they
land.
want, it's private, I know, well, they're good friends, that's fine. But the problem I have is this is the very best soil, we got the whole county. And so I can be concerned about it.
Everybody's upset about that.
I can be
understand.
concerned about that,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's not my control, that's, I
That
guess
gets me
there's
back
a.
to the land use plan, that should never have happened.
So,
Land use
so,
was set up specifically to say agricultural property. Period.
what do you got, Tom?
Well, the other scenario that comes to mind hearing this is, you mentioned they pick the raw fruits or bear the fruits of technology progressing. And I do think with our innovation in the United States and in time, a lot of the stuff in time will be corrected.
It's already starting to sell.
Yes.
Yes.
So, to say what happened in the past is the past, and what's going on in the
Unless it's
future.
your water that's turning muddy. Unless it's your water faucet, then you know that you have to drill because the data center next door is following the ground.
Yeah.
And that is happening too. And
Yes.
there's no recompense for those things.
Yes.
They're just stuck.
So, and hear me out, in due
Sure.
time, that will probably be rectified, but here we sit today facing a matter of, do we want, or do we face the fact of a bad situation that nobody wants? Or do we sit here and say, what's going to happen in the course of time is they're gonna cherry pick where they can go.
Right.
And at that point, they're all, hopefully, it doesn't hit somebody that don't want it.
Right.
And like Jim says, I can't answer that question, who wants it, who don't.
Yeah.
But I do think in the way the progress of the whole situation's going, there's gonna be a lot of changes of rectification because of just what you mentioned.
Yeah.
And it needs to be,
Mhm.
and it very much needs to be.
I don't think we have enough information to move on this at all today. The reason
I wasn't asking to move on it.
Okay, the reason I didn't say you did. Well, the reason I don't say that is because we don't know about what that individual townships, we don't even know if we have a land use, county land use, we have no clue if we even have that done. So I think there's some things that we have to discover first before we can actually make a decision on this.
And just, I realize that I'm not much in favor of countywide zoning, but I think townships should be aware that they may have something hanging in the wind out there if they don't do their own, or try to at least address the possibility. Now, it may not happen next week or next year or in 10 years, but, I mean, the use of technology is only going to expand, and the use of these processing centers are probably going to, unless they find another way to do it, and they're already looking at something.
Just a comment from what I've been hearing on the news about some of these data centers approaching municipalities, towns, or whatever level they're approaching them at. A lot of it has been secret.
They have.
Yes.
And the people find out about it after the fact, after money has been spent for studies, after plans have been drawn up. And then it's a big boulder to stop rolling down that hill. And so I don't want Juneau County to be caught in that same position where someone sneaks in the back door and says, surprise, we got the approval, here we go.
To that point, we're not immune to it. You know, I work in economic development, and approximately 2 years ago, we were approached. And it was very, like secretive, I don't know the company name, but it was inquiring about power. And at the time, talking with our power companies, the understanding was, we have enough power in at least the Juneau County areas they were looking, I don't know any of those specifics, but we have enough power that they would utilize some sort of a one-to-one basis, but that we weren't an ideal location at that time because they look for redundancy, where they wanna make sure there's at least 2 to 3 times the ratio of power that they would use. But that was also 2 years ago, and it was a very unofficial sort of inquiry, and I have no idea if our utility companies have been building toward that to be able to satisfy those customers, but just to speak to that, I think those inquiries are already happening, so.
Is it appropriate, Mr. Chair, for Tamaya in her capacity as an economic development person to talk to the utility companies, our local, like, even our, even like the links, I always forget, Leavenworth Valley, but that data would go along their telephone lines when it comes out of the processors. I mean, it's the electricity that goes into the center, but the data goes out in their, fiberglass, the fiberglass. So they would be affected too. I'm just curious about what you said, if they are approached, or maybe they can't even talk about it.
I don't know.
I know the answer to the fiber optics in the northern end of the county.
You don't have it.
We'll go very forward.
Is there some way we could formalize, looking for somebody look into this a little bit further and report back in next meeting, or?
What exactly do you want me to look into?
Well,
Whether we
the
have
zoning question would be one thing. And the comprehensive land use plan, do we have one? And how easy is that to change, and how much teeth would that have in what we're talking about here? We don't even know if we have that plan, and that plan could be.
I think we need to look in to see if we have a plan. And I really think we need to sit back just a little bit and see what the Wisconsin County Association comes about with some recommendations, because they have their legal people working on this. And I don't wanna recreate the wheel during that period of time.
Well, and that's why I asked earlier about the legislators, because there was, I think, some preliminary discussion on that as the legislative session was kind of drawing to a conclusion. I don't know if committees were established, but it kind of dropped because the session ended. And so I don't know if that's gonna come back up in January when they come back in the session. There is some move federally, which I don't have any confidence in it moving forward. But, I need to do something about a federal moratorium to just, let's put the brakes on this so that we can assess. But I don't have any, like I said, I have no confidence.
So are we comfortable with just,
I'd like a report back.
finding out on some, what our land use
Yeah.
issues are, things like that, find out that information?
And WCA, what
And
they're doing.
and work with WCA, and that's, I think as you talked to Andy, with you, August, he was talking or something you were seeing, or?
Well, when I talked to him, I don't know, was that a week ago I talked to him, he said maybe, when they meet in August, they would come up with one, but after listening to him yesterday, I don't know if he's still planning on doing that, for the reasons I said before, just that all counties are doing different stuff, or have done different stuff already, he doesn't wanna come up with something saying this is what
And
they're
some of what they put in place doesn't have any teeth to it either, right?
Right, and that's what he told me last week, is that it might be a draft, like a template moratorium, which we can't do anyways.
So
Well, I'm done.
let's
I'm
get,
done.
thank you.
Yeah.
Let's gather some more information, we'll move on. Okay. No, just wait a minute. So, let's skip number 9, because we're gonna work with Sarah on board rules. Let's skip number 10 here, and discussion on, upcoming agenda items. Do we have anything that we wanna put on the agenda in the future, or?
Well, we skipping that or talking about it?
No, we're gonna talk about, so we're gonna skip number 9.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay,
I
and then we're gonna come back to number 9 so we can work with Sarah.
I have number 10 is discussion on upcoming agenda items. I thought that meant agenda items for the county board. Because usually the executive council would set agenda items for the county board. So I do have something I wanna get on the county board agenda. Is it appropriate to talk about that right now?
Sure, talk about it right now, and then.
I've been working with Betty on her committee, and she's in her committee is in charge of the 2 airports, Boston, and Lisbon, and Necedah. And I would like to, I was requested that the Boston Airport have the opportunity to brief the county board on the status of the Boston, Lisbon Airport, future growth, money, the advantages of having the airport, all the things they do for the county. 10-15 minutes, next county board.
And you wanna do that in, July, or July?
Yeah, the next meeting, and the
Yep.
gentleman's name is Steve Dishler, we would glad to have him.
Yep, put that on the.
Matt Booker, Steve Dishler, Dishler, and I said 15 minutes max.
Okay,
Be here at 9:30 and we'll get you in.
good deal.
Thank you.
All right, so before we start with Sarah, let's take a 5-10 minute break, so I need to go to the bathroom, and then we're gonna start working on, I'm just gonna tell you, we're gonna work on board rules. So, everyone stay with board rules?
Here's the transparent. Yeah, mine is what.